Harp on Sports, the Bar, podcast, media, audio, and radio network. What do we have in store for you on this edition of the program? Have we reached the Brady breaking point? Giselle, Tom, divorce attorneys. This is the end. Is it a mess? It's ugly. Oh my gosh, is it over? Slow down. Slow down. The loss to the Chiefs is different. But that doesn't mean it's over. At least football-wise for Brady. So we're going to look at that. Also, look, with Wisconsin firing, Paul Chryst, and it's one of these things that other conferences should be scared to death of what the Big Ten's doing. The fact that the Big Ten is firing coaches at the blink of an eye should scare every conference to death. And the ACC, the Big 12, the Pac-12, all of them are going to start to fall behind the Big Ten when it comes to an arms race because of the payouts, because of their contract. The SEC needs to do something. I'll tell you what they need to do. And monetarily, it'd be fantastic. It'd be one of the best things they could do for their for all of their programs. And we're going to wrap with a little Rocktober. As baseball's postseason peaks around the corner, we know some of the matchups. Almost all of them, I think. So now what? What do we think is going to happen? That's going to start here momentarily. Harp on Sports, the Bar, podcast, media, audio, radio network. Follow, share, like, subscribe at Harp on Sports Twitter, at Harp on Sports Instagram, Auditory Route, Buzzsprout, Spotify, Apple Podcast, Harp on Sports YouTube page, Harp on Sports, the Facebook page, and of course, harponsports.com. Start off with Tom Brady. If we reach the breaking point, is it finally over? No, it's not. Look, that division's bad. And Brady in his personal life, I kind of take a step back from this. Tom Brady went to a Super Bowl, won it, while his mom was battling cancer. Yeah, family problems and divorce and kids. I know it's messy and ugly, but I'll say again, Tom Brady in his mid-30s went and won a Super Bowl when his mom was battling cancer. That's why you got the I love you, Mom. Love you, Mom. Was that 2013, 2014? 2014 when he was doing that? So 8 years ago, so he's in his mid-30s, late 30s. Look, they didn't lose to the Chiefs because Tom Brady's having problems at home. There are other factors at work here. There are. Now, are the Bucs the Super Bowl favorite? No. Are the NFC favorite right now? No, they're not. Not right now, they're not. I've said for weeks and weeks on end that they need to go get Gronk. They go get Gronk. That's kind of like Tom Brady's security blanket. They'd go get Gronk on the goal line. It's just a different beast. But here's where it is different. It's the same as in, look, he still has some offensive line questions and they're banged up a bit, but things just kind of clicked and gelled for him a couple years ago. Defensively are the big question marks. You give up 41 points, but 7 of them really weren't the defense's fault when you give them the ball. When you give, let's face it, you give Patrick Mahomes the ball inside your own 20, you're going to get cooked. So, I start to look at this and I say the following things when it comes to Brady, and at least the Bucs. The reason why it's different, I still think this is an 11-6 football team. I do, because they got 2 games with the Falcons, they got 2 games with the Panthers. If they go 3-1 in those games, now they're 5-3, and they've got another one with the Saints at home. They're going to be okay. They're going to win double-digit games. They're going to win that division. The problem that they're going to have is what? Now, look, the NFC West, do the Rams do anything as time goes on? Maybe. But, boy, they don't look very good right now. The Eagles look solid. The Cowboys look good. But do you trust those teams? Do you? The best thing that Tom Brady has going for him is he plays in an NFC that's pretty weak at the quarterback position. Or it's not as star-studded at the quarterback position that the AFC is. If you put the Bucs in the AFC, I'd say they're in a lot of trouble. A lot of trouble. Scale of 1 to 10, I'd say they were an 8 in terms of trouble. In the NFC, they're more like a 5. Because if Brady and the Bucs had to go to Buffalo and to Kansas City to win, I mean, to Baltimore, all three of those places, they're not doing all that. They're just not. Now, if they have to go to Dallas and win, they can do that. If they can go to Philly and win, yeah, they can do that. See, it's a little bit different. And then all those AFC teams have to play each other, so you just have to worry about one at the end. That's why it's not over for him. But there are things that are gigantically concerning. When he was with New England, and they were getting off to those like 2-2 starts like 5-6 years ago and winning Super Bowls, and, you know, there were question marks about injuries and they were banged up early in the year. The difference between those teams and Brady's like last 3 Super Bowls, when they were struggling out of the gate and they'd be 2-2 or they'd be 3-3, even the Bucs team from a couple years ago was what? Here's the big difference. The injuries at his big positions were guys in their late 20s, early 30s. Now his injuries are guys in their mid-30s. The injuries that when Edelman was banged up for one of the Super Bowls, what was he, 30? Yeah. And they're going to get healthier as the season goes on. They are. Here's another big factor. I think Todd Bowles is a good coach. I thought Bruce Arians was a good coach. They're not the man in Foxborough. And what they could do defensively, how they clamped down on Seattle in that one Super Bowl, what they did to the Rams where they clamped down, that's Belichick stuff. Now, the Bucs did that 2 years ago. Defensively, they were great. But they don't have that anymore. They don't. Take it from me. Look, I'm in my early 40s now. There's a big difference in the 3-4 years here for me. There just is. From where I was in my late 30s to early 40s, there's a big difference. It's a gigantic difference. I can't eat unhealthy at all or I'd gain a pound, no matter what. That's just me. That's just, can you imagine physically well-conditioned athletes and how bad they get banged up? You just don't recover as fast. You just don't. Wake up, your shoulders hurt, your legs hurt, you get treatments, all those things, but you don't bounce back. You just don't do it. So, Brady breaking point? No, we're not there yet. We're not. And the off-the-field stuff, I'm just not there. And he's got several things going in his favor. The division's bad. He's got 2 games with the Panthers and 2 more with the Falcons coming up. Like I said, even if he goes 3-1 in those, which you can probably go 4-0. But the bigger concern that this team has is that the guys that are getting hurt, Julio Jones isn't going to be 100% all year. Julio Jones is a number 3 receiver at best in this league now. It's just different. It's a different world. And as the year goes on, I think they're going to start to click and get a little bit better. But what do I think? I think the Bucs are a team that can win a game in the postseason home and go lose on the road. Without Gronk, I don't even know if they can do that. Without Gronk, probably one and done. Because they had to host the Cowboys, which is what would be in that world right now, right? Yeah. Okay. From Brady's breakdown, is it over, to this. The Big Ten just fired another football coach. Big Ten usually doesn't do stuff like this. The Big Ten is acting like they've got money to burn in their pocket, because they do. Nebraska firing Scott Frost after a couple of weeks. Should have been the first. Wait a second here. And now Wisconsin fires Paul Chryst after a month. And the guy was like 47-22. It started to slip on him. Wisconsin's like, no, we're not going to mess around with this. Done. Now, when you get then again, I can't stress this enough. In 2 years, the Big Ten's going to get $100 million per school as part of their TV deal. $100 million per year. Close to $100 million a year per school. So if I'm getting 90 to 100 million a year per school and I can fire a coach and we can walk away for 11 million and I'm getting 100, it's so easy to fire coaches. It's so easy. So easy. Think about it. If you reached in, think about how it's like winning the lottery, right? If you have limited money or limitless money And you're like, okay, well, can I buy this? Of course I can buy this. Can I go out to eat? Well, there's an extra 100. If every time you reach into your wallet there was a $100 bill, it'd be a lot easier to do a bunch of different things, wouldn't it? That's where this is with the Big Ten. So other conferences need to pay attention to this, and I'm going to focus on the SEC primarily because what's going to happen is the Big Ten is going to start hiring recruiting guys away from Georgia. They're going to start hiring, and especially when Saban retires here, the Big Ten is going to start, they're firing coaches left and right. What are they going to start doing? They're going to start to hire SEC coaches, assistants that have recruiting ties to the South. That's what they're going to start doing with all this extra money. And it's not as simple as we'll just hit up our boosters for some more money. Florida's begging fans and fraternity. There's football coaches. I can take a step back here. There are coaches, not football coaches. There are coaches at the University of Florida that are going to fraternities and asking for money for NIL deals. Yeah. Begging for money to compete. When the Big Ten has $100 million per school and they're in big TV markets, it's going to be a heck of a lot easier. Think about when they get into the LA market, how easy it's going to be to tie Big Ten talent into LA. See, there's a reason. This is all about money. Always been about money. Always about money. So when I look at this, let's say the Big Ten payout again. When it becomes $100 million and the SEC is going to be like $70 million. They say we're close. Yeah, but over the course of a decade, that's $300 million. It'll build you half a football stadium. That's a lot of money. I can make mistakes left and right if I got an extra $300 million. I know. So here's what needs to happen. I was thinking about this when I went to the Bucs Chiefs game. I were the SEC, and I was looking at TV contracts. I want to make sure I get the number right here. ESPN and ABC pay $2.7 billion a year for Monday Night Football. If I were the SEC, I would make a Monday Night Football product available. Now, 16 games, correct? Well, there's double headers in there too, right? There's 17 games in the NFL because there's no 17th game at the end of the year for Monday Night Football. So the contract's bigger than, I think the contract's 20 games in all. So it's not going to be 20 games in the SEC. It's not. So for the sake of this fun little exercise, we're going to cut that in half. The SEC needs to bring Monday Night Football into the fold. And you may sit there and say, oh, what, you can't compete with the NFL. The goal is not to compete with the NFL. No, the goal is to create a product for one of the other networks. Because ESPN's got their own little island on Monday night. And don't tell me, oh, they won't. No, they won't do that. Pfft. Why on earth is ABC and Fox and CBS all fighting over the same sport every Saturday? The networks are just, Monday Night Football belongs to ESPN. Boy, if I am the SEC, I'm on the horn with CBS. I'm on the network that the SEC should be contacting. Here's NBC. NBC's deal with Notre Dame and what they're trying to get done. If I'm NBC, if I'm CBS, or if I'm the SEC, I'm on the phone with, I mean, Amazon just got money out the yin yang. If I am Google, all these entities, Netflix, all these .coms. If I am the SEC, I'm trying to get a Monday Night Football deal done. And again, if it's half as many games, and let's say, we say $2.7 billion, $1.3 billion, half as many games. In the NFL, the college product's a little bit different. So let's say it's just $1 billion a year. If you take an extra $1 billion a year and divide it amongst your 16 SEC programs, or I should take that back. They're not 16 yet, are there? No. If you take that $1 billion, well, you will be. Soon enough, right? Soon enough. But no, if I have that $1 billion and I divvy it up amongst my 16 SEC schools, all of a sudden each school gets an extra $70 million a year, an extra $60 million a year. Now, look, I went low. I lowballed this one. I lowballed it at $1 billion for 10 SEC football games. You could go add more SEC football games. You go to 12. Let's say you go to 12. Go to 12. Fine, go to 13 because you have bye weeks, right? Go to 13. All right, now instead of 2013, now you're at 1.2 billion around there. Each school gets an extra $80 million a year. That's how you keep up with the Big Ten. And look, you say, what about the other conferences, the Pac-12, and they don't have a product that's drawable enough. Could you imagine what a Monday night football game between Alabama and Texas would fetch? Could you imagine what a Monday night football game between Georgia and LSU would fetch? Could you imagine what a Monday night football game? A Monday night football game? Just think about it. Take a step back. What an A&M Florida Monday night football game would do? A Monday night Florida Tennessee football game would do? The SEC needs to add Monday night football. Oh, we can't do that. Oh, come on. We can't do that. It's not the students and recovery time and quick. Oh, stop it. College football games play Thursday night all the time. Don't give me this stuff. The short week and, we can't, academics, you can flush all that stuff down the toilet. Shove that shit somewhere else because I'm not scooping it, all right? It's just not going to work. That type of garbage, that rhetoric doesn't work on me. Everybody talks about Thursday is too big of a turnaround. You try to take Thursday Thanksgiving games away from the Lions and the Cowboys, like, no, it's tradition. Okay, you're going to play Thursday, October 9th. It's not fair. Not turning off around time. There are several teams in college football that play Saturday, that turn around and play Thursday 5 days later. So you can play Monday and turn around and play Saturday 5 days later. Or give them a bye going in after it. If you play Monday night, then you have to play Saturday night. It's just the way it works. Okay, sirrah, sirrah. And save me that. I saw teams play. When did, memory serves, when did Florida State and LSU play this year? Labor Day night, didn't they? Oh, the humanity. And then they, Florida State and LSU, was it LSU playing then Saturday, 5 days later? Shovel it somewhere else. SEC, Monday Night Football. And again, you took that just from the Christ firing? Yeah. The fact the Big Ten are firing coaches in September because they know they need to fire them because they've got so much money they can get away with it. It may not be a big deal for 1 or 2 years, just like anything else. If I'm giving you $10 a day and I'm giving your friend next to you $8 a day, one day you're like, it's $2 difference. At the end of the month, it's been $60 difference. At the end of the year, what's it been? $750 difference. $2 is not that big of a deal. When you start to add it up, it does. It becomes a gigantic deal. Okay, wanted to wrap with this. Major League Baseball postseason, Rocktober. This year's, it's a different feel, isn't it? With the best 2 out of 3 and the top 2 seeds getting 4 days off. They don't play till Monday night, right? So we're not even talking about weather delays and things could happen. Everybody goes Thursday, Friday, Saturday, best 2 out of 3. I'm excited about it. I am. We know our matchups. The Rays will be in Cleveland in the American League to start things off. And what do we have? The Mariners and the Blue Jays. And the winner of Cleveland and Tampa will take on the Stros. And the Yankees await the winner between the Jays and the Mariners. National League, the Dodgers are sitting there at the top. The Braves are right next to them. They're the top 2 seeds. Philly just gets in. So what's Philly going to St. Louis? And the Mets are on the road. I think it's going to be fun. I do. I mean, as the Dodgers, look, when the Dodgers and Braves can kind of just sit around and go, okay, we're going to wait for this. And the Mets win 90 plus 90, whatever games the Mets are going to end up winning and not win the division. I mean, you're going to have some pretty cool matchups out of the gate, right? To me, the National League storylines are a little thicker. What is the Padres? The Padres, Phillies. Look at your playoff teams. I'm excited about. I am. I'm intrigued. I wrote down what I thought the top 5 storylines heading into the postseason are, and also what I think is going to happen. Here are my 5 storylines. All right, I got number 5. I got Kershaw's call. Clayton Kershaw back, Dodgers postseason. He got a World Series under his belt. It's his final year in his contract with the Dodgers. Is it Clayton Kershaw was hurt a good chunk of the year? He struggled so much in the postseason. He's got his World Series win. He's in the Hall of Fame. All that stuff's taken care of. But if he can have a second World Series and pitch well, then all of a sudden, I think, because it's like, oh, Kershaw won a World Series, but he struggled a lot in the postseason. If he wins a second one, it's not, oh, he's got 2 World Series, but he struggled a lot. Second championship kind of quiets things down. Look how important the second championship was for Peyton Manning. So I think Kershaw's called number 5. I've got my, pair of aces in New York. What's DeGrom and Scherzer give us with the Mets? They got thumped by the Braves, didn't they? Got swept. So what are the 2 aces on the hill give us with the Mets? That was number 4 on my list. Harper's haunts. Philly makes the postseason. The Phillies. Bryce Harper gets that massive, massive deal, leaves the Nationals. Nationals win a World Series the first year he's gone. Now you got Harper in Philly. Does he do anything? And look, Scherzer is a Hall of Famer. DeGrom, we don't know. I think that's why I've got Harper a little bit higher because of the contract. And the Philly hasn't made the playoffs in a decade. Number 2. Judge and jury. Aaron Judge breaks Roger Maris's American League record. He gets his 62nd home run. Aaron Judge is heading into the offseason. Is it Aaron Judge's postseason? It would be Aaron Judge's postseason if it weren't for 2 other guys. And I've got at the top my St. Louis Swan song, the number 1 story going into the postseason. Yadier Molina and Albert Pujols calling it a career. Is there any magic left in that tank? Is there? I say a little magic. They'll win a series, but not enough. When it's all said and done, this is what I have. I have in the American League, I have Cleveland, the Guardians, and the Astros, and I have the Astros beating the Guardians. I think Cleveland's going to beat the Yankees. I do. I think Cleveland's going to beat the Yankees. You're just saying that because you hate the Yankees. No, I just think Cleveland's going to beat them. I think I trust Cleveland in this postseason. Terry Francona says he's about done. He's just not managing the grind. I do. I think I think Cleveland will beat the Yankees. I think this stretch run for Judge and the Yankees did not play very well in the second half of the season. And Cleveland all of a sudden is going to win 90 plus games. And they've just kind of been creeping along. And, they're going to take on the Rays out of the gate. They're going to get them at home, and then they get to go to New York. So I like Cleveland a lot, but not over the Astros. So I have Cleveland dumping the Rays, and then I have Cleveland beating the Astros. I think the Mariners are a good story, but I don't think they're beating Toronto. Toronto wins that series, and I think Toronto turns around and they may win 1 game against the Astros. And I think the Astros roll through Cleveland too. The Astros go to the World Series in the American League and in the National League. I thought about this, and I just don't see any. I don't. Even if the Mets won that division, I'd pick the Braves to beat them in the postseason. The one thing that would worry me about all this is that from the perspective of this, right? The Dodgers are loaded. But what the Mets have at the top of the rotation in the postseason is going to be so deadly. It is going to be so deadly. And baseball, the way baseball's structured, it's just different, right? And to me, in the National League, the fact that the 4 seed and 5 seed are sitting around, and look, the Dodgers get the 1, so the Mets are going to turn right back around after their series with the Padres. With the Mets, will beat the Padres. And I thought, St. Louis and Philly. I don't think Philly's going to do much against the Cards. I just don't. So I think. Again, St. Louis will take care of business, and I don't see the Padres beating the Mets. Not that pitching rotation. But again, it's 3 games, so it happens quick. So I got the Mets and the Braves. I think the Braves beat them again. And then the Dodgers. And I thought long and hard about this. I did. I thought long and hard. I wanted to pick the Braves so much over the Dodgers. I did. But I can't. Not again. Well, the Braves are red hot. But the Dodgers won 111 games. I can't do it. My mind won't let me. I have the Dodgers, and then I have the Astros beating the Dodgers. I have the Astros winning the World Series. Astros in 6 over the Dodgers. Altuve is your MVP. There you go. I think it's great on paper in the postseason. But again, top 5 storylines in the baseball's postseason. Clayton Kershaw's curtain call in L.A. pair of aces in New York with the Mets. DeGrom and Scherzer, number 4. Harper's haunts. Does he get over the hump in the postseason here in Philly? Paid him $500 million to do it. Judge and jury, Aaron Judge. It's Aaron Judge's. Do you think it was Aaron Judge's postseason? 62 home runs, all this, it'd be his postseason, but it's not. It's because of the Twin Birds. St. Louis. Swan song for Yadier Molina and Albert Pujols. So there you go. Harp on Sports, the Bar, podcast, media, audio, radio network. Follow, share, like, subscribe at Harp on Sports, Twitter, at Harp on Sports, Instagram. Harp on Sports, Auditory Route, Buzzsprout, Spotify, Apple Podcast. Harp on Sports, the Bar. Harp on Sports, the YouTube channel. And, of course, Harp on Sports, the Facebook page. harponsports.com is our website. Remember, stay clean, stay focused, stay strong. Frankenstein. Have fun with your friends.